Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute once we give everybody a chance to come on in from the waiting room. So we'll start just about a minute. Thanks. All right, let's go ahead and get started while we still have a few last people coming in from the waiting room. Brandy, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, hi. Everybody, I'd like to introduce Brandy Alexander from Space Shop to you. She is going to talk to us a little bit about e-commerce. Actually, not a little bit, a lot. Go into a pretty deep dive on some e-commerce best practices. And we're so thankful to have her today. You may have seen some of the work that Space Shop has done as they have built the websites for the Snowbound festivals. And we are looking forward to hearing from you. So I will say we will be using the Q&A tool and have some time at the end. So please go ahead and submit the questions. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. And other than that, I think that's it. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'll turn it over to you, Brandy.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. So I have a lot to go through here. We're going to jump around a little bit, but please ask any questions. We're going to talk about how to crawl, walk, and run with e-commerce. Some of this may be too basic for some of you. Some of this may be a little bit more advanced. There's a lot of information here. Again, it's just sort of an overview. So if you have further questions, don't hesitate to ask. I am Brandy Alexander Wimberly. I'm a managing partner here at Space Shop. We are an e-commerce agency. We really describe ourselves as digital commerce. So we do a lot on the digital side, a lot on the commerce side, and we do a lot bringing those two worlds together, which is what we've done with snowboundfest.com, if any of you have traveled over there. We are an SIA partner as well. So our agency focuses on a couple core technologies. We are e-commerce experts. We are well credentialed. We have a team of 22. We're based here in Ohio. We work with, basically a client base of Fortune 1000 brands, retailers, events. We offer a suite of services from strategy consulting, web design and development, marketplace services, which we'll touch on a little bit, creative services, and digital marketing. We are Adobe Bronze Solution Partners. We are Shopify experts, and we are also Amazon partners on the marketplaces. So I'll go ahead and get into it. We're going to talk about the opportunity, getting past some of the hurdles that you may be thinking about when it comes to either direct to consumer or just e-commerce in general. How to get started, what are the channels and tools to consider as you get up and running, and then how do you really sort of create that strategic plan for growth. So I love this slide. I use it in a lot of the presentations that I do. It really helps, I think, crystallize the opportunity between, what we have going on in the world and currently today, especially. So, don't be a Blockbuster in a Netflix world. This is, business 101 and an interesting story from this evolution of, Blockbuster saying, people like to come into the store and Netflix saying, well, they also like to click a button on their phone. And, I think if the two would have collaborated, it would have been successful. But, they sort of wanted to only stay in their swim lane. But at the end of the day, really, for us, especially, the genie is not going back in the bottle. E-commerce is here to stay for all size brands, retailers, and destinations. This year, especially, e-commerce reached 27% of total retail sales, which is, in our world, that's a 10 years of growth in 6 months. So a 41% lift overall in what was sort of trending. Before the pandemic. So, that really accelerated pre-existing shifts and buyer journeys. prompting even more customers to rely on online mediums during all stages of their research and shopping. So I know a lot of you have families that, you may have parents that never shopped online for groceries, and all of a sudden that's all they do now. So, those types of stories are emerging, as we sort of come out of this pandemic hangover. And retail will never be the same because of it. So what are some of those hurdles? Let's talk about it. Don't fall into analysis paralysis. We see this a lot. Your competitors will thank you. It's 2021. E-commerce is just another distribution method and channel that customers really now expect. So, avoid undercutting your retailers and distributors, but let them know you need to control your brand and customer experience and offer shoppers a choice beyond that legacy model. What we're going to talk about in, a few slides from now is that, most shoppers are multi-channel shoppers. And so you need to sort of address that in the marketplace. But really strengthening your brand's position in the marketplace is good for your retailers and your distributors too. And, from a retail perspective, retailers getting more involved in e-commerce also helps, the brands understand that you are prioritizing that as a model. And I think that is what they definitely want to see. So another common hurdle that we hear a lot about is logistics and the complexities around fulfillment. This has evolved a lot over the last few years. There's an infinite number of options when it comes to selling through online channels and making sure that your fulfillment is, going to be a good experience for your customers. So, either e-commerce first fulfillment, marketplace fulfillment, you can mix and match a customized solution that really fits your needs. And that's really what we're talking about, with our clients is helping them understand the options, what's profitable and what is really going to be the best customer experience. So, at the end of the day, the lesson here is you have options when it comes to fulfillment. So let's talk about getting started. The first place to start is going to be your e-commerce website. So when you think about your e-commerce website, I want you to take a step back and think about Amazon. So the Amazonation of e-commerce is affecting your customers' expectations about what it's like to do business with your brand, your retail store, your destination. Instant gratification has become sort of commonplace now when it comes to online shopping. So you want that one-click ordering. Your customers are getting used to instant gratification from Amazon, so your brand needs to keep up now with that too. We say a lot in our meetings. If your products and your services aren't as easy to order as a pizza, then you're missing an opportunity, because there's a lot of ways that we can work with you to get it to that level of sort of that instant gratification. But there's more than just sort of that easy access. There are other advantages to having your own e-commerce store, which include direct access to your customers, opportunities to innovate and see what sort of works. I mean, it's digital, so, you're not sort of, nothing's set in stone when it comes to digital. You can always iterate as you go. There's an opportunity for scalability too. Improved efficiencies, you can help drive brand awareness, and certainly enhanced analytics always comes with anything when we're talking about digital. So there's a lot of benefits to having your own e-commerce store available to your customers. So how do you generate traffic there? How do you, generate awareness? There's a lot of ways that you can utilize your e-commerce store beyond just selling things. So, you can create those top of the funnel content experiences like buyer's guides, comparison tools, reviews, evaluation templates, reinforced by that mid-funnel content, webinars, white papers, case studies, sample stores. I think that's a huge opportunity for people, especially on the wholesale side. So, we're talking a lot about consumer here, but there's also a whole wholesale component that you can digitize and make it really easy for, your dealers and distributors to order from you. This is something that, we talk a lot about. It's sort of, some of this somewhat early stage when we're talking about, this category in particular, but it's something to have on your radar is the whole connected commerce experience. and, smart speakers and the interaction between smart speakers and, your web store, your Amazon listings, things like that, your retail experience. We're not going to go into too much depth on this, but it's definitely something that you should have on your radar. And the way that you can think about that in, the most basic form is the content you create around your product detail pages is the content that's going to be picked up by some of these smart assistants. So, that natural language processing really is drawing from how you're configuring your product detail listings, your titles, your bullets, descriptions, things like that. So, making it mobile, that's sort of, basic anymore, but, mobile commerce is growing. It's a thing, certainly in this category, in the snow sports industry, people are out and about, they're around, they're not sitting at a desktop. So addressing that experience through mobile commerce is critical. There's a lot of different ways you can think about that, but certainly it is going to be a huge component of any digital commerce strategy. So let's talk about that convergence of digital and physical. And this is really some ideation that my team did around, this webinar in particular. So, we all got in a room and we started to brainstorm about, different ways that, you can think about how you are going to connect your digital and commerce experiences, with your retail environments, for example. Creating that omni-channel experience with, digitally enabled shoppable store, extend your inventory, consider dropship partners. I know inventory constraints are always an issue with retail, but there are ways to alleviate that and really scale your whole digital commerce through, different partnerships and different, things that we can set up on the back end. Close the loop on that in-store website and social by providing that seamless digital shelf across all of your channels. I know that especially people that travel to certain, resorts or towns, they love that little local store that they can only find certain things. Well, extend that, to have a year-round experience, give them 24/7 access to your retail store by providing, your own e-commerce experience. Let's talk about resorts. Developing your own D2C brand for some of the resorts, I think is such a massive opportunity. And I'm going to go through some case studies here in a second, but, extending your brand's digital footprint with your own D2C brand, I think that's definitely the next wave of how some of the, key brands should be thinking about engaging customers. You can get a lot on the analytics side too by creating your own D2C brand. Expand your digital shelf, create a new revenue stream, establish the framework of your digital physical spaces, and then also future-proof your brand. Now, you don't want to be all things to all people, but having a curated approach, I think, is definitely the way to go. When it comes to the physical environment, creating shoppable rooms with physical calls to action that prompt guests and shoppers to add products to a cart on your website. So that's how that closed loop system would work. Fulfillment can be drop shipped or centralized in a warehouse. It's sort of up to you and how you currently are set up. But as a phase 2, you can consider AR integration. So when we think about that, shoppable room, you can have an augmented reality component with, which would basically be an overlay on someone's phone. They can see what in the room is shoppable. So there's some really cool things that you can be thinking about when it comes to that connection between, physical and digital. The retail store on the go sort of goes back to what we're talking about with, having your boutique be 24/7. Your retail store is carefully curated. Expand your catalog's reach with an e-commerce store. Source local products only to create a more unique offering that expands beyond just your visitors and guests. Because that locally sourced product can easily be turned into a subscription in your website store. So that's another added value to maybe even the local brands that you work with that they may not be thinking about. Let's talk about services. So, I know a lot of you have websites and you can definitely shop services on those websites, but, extending that experience to basically everything, I think is another opportunity and sort of that next iteration that you can be thinking about. Give your customers and guests an easy access to advanced booking, real-time commerce experiences for core services, rentals, and even, sort of some of the experiences that you offer. Increase the service basket by including upsell opportunities with physical products from your catalog. So going back to what that catalog is in your boutique, what that catalog is from D2C, and adding that in helps boost the size of the basket. So let's talk about that D2C brand that you could potentially develop. This is really cool. This is pulled right from Amazon. So, you can think about the hotel robe and what that experience is, right? So start with a curated selection of your products that align with your brand's vision. Once your supply chain and fulfillment methods are defined, roll out the brand on your web store and marketplace channels as a test. Test, learn, and optimize your D2C brand and unlock the potential of an additional revenue stream. So let's just talk about the hotel robe. If I go to Amazon and search for hotel robes, I'm going to get a lot of search results. None of these have anything to do with an actual resort or hotel brand. They're all people just capturing that experience. So, there's even an editorial write-up that you can see when you go into Amazon, sort of, mid-page, that helps people, select the products that they're looking for. So this random brand here, they do over 200,000 a month on one SKU selling a hotel robe, with that keyword. So, we're not just talking about a few $1,000s that you guys could generate with a D2C brand on Amazon specifically. If done right and curated and, you have the right optimization in place, it can truly be an additional revenue stream. So let's talk about marketplaces. This is sort of my segue for that. We work in Amazon, and I know that can be somewhat of a dirty word, but it is what it is. It's not going away. So it's better to have an Amazon strategy than to completely avoid it, because again, your competitors will thank you for avoiding it. We really say there are two internets. There's the internet, especially here in the United States, and then there's Amazon. And it is, they coexist. We'll put it that way. But we're working in lots of different retail channels and marketplaces at any given time. We also develop marketplaces. But when you think about a marketplace, it is sort of like you're going from this walled garden of your brand and your website that you manage, and it's all beautiful and wonderful, and then you're going to the farmer's market. So there is a lot of friction there, but it sort of comes with the territory. So, another aspect of marketplaces is that your digital shelf is something to think about with your digital shelf, because it's how and where your brand's products are displayed online. That includes your website, that includes Amazon retailers, marketplaces, social channels, and advertising. So it all needs to work together to be fully optimized and cohesive. What you have in your physical, retail store should be also represented on Amazon and any other digital channel. So again, having that strategy in place, I think, can alleviate some of the friction that you may experience when it comes to Amazon, because Amazon can be lucrative, but it is unpredictable. And we saw that, last year, a lot of our brands that had a lot of their, revenue generated from Amazon really sort of had some issues when, they shut down the supply chain, they shut down, anyone's ability to add their products to FBA warehouses because they were prioritizing, certain products over others. So, putting all your eggs in one basket is a mistake. Brands and manufacturers should have a multi-channel approach to e-commerce. And your performance blend, we call it a performance blend, should really be your own web store, marketplaces like Amazon, and then certainly retailer websites. So why does it matter? Why does Amazon matter in this industry in particular? Again, your competitors will thank you for not being on Amazon, because they are, and they will find that audience. Because most people, most customers aren't just shopping in one, and you guys know that from your own consumer experience. You're not just shopping in one sort of method. You probably all shop on Amazon. So when we think about it, there's Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Apple, Home Depot, Wayfair, Best Buy, Target, Costco, and Macy's. That's where people are shopping, digitally. So, we want your brand in the game. At least, even if taking a step back, even if you don't sell direct on Amazon, controlling your brand is one important aspect of that. And something that should be considered, because there are ways and methods that you can claim your brand within Amazon's ecosystem, control all of the SKUs that then third-party resellers are selling and actually fulfilling, but you're controlling your brand. So there's a lot that comes with that, but it should definitely be something that, you know, any brand or even retailer really understands how that works within Amazon's ecosystem. You know, certainly marketplaces, social media storefronts is another aspect of what you should be considering when it comes to, you know, how you can represent your brand digitally. So, you know, design your Instagram shop to reflect your brand, customize your collection with the products you want to showcase, use eye-catching imagery, design elements, and help build your brand identity. And setting up the shop is fairly straightforward once you have the back end set up with your own web store. So a lot of that sort of works together, but you know, especially when it comes to Shopify. But it's definitely something we encourage everybody to do. There's no reason not to do it. If you have a shoppable catalog already, you know, extend that experience to social media too. So really thinking about the future, you know, I know, you know, we can think about all of this and some of the friction points and sort of, you know, back away from them, but really technology builds on itself. So it isn't just sort of an easy button either. You know, today's e-commerce websites and marketplaces will beat tomorrow's virtual commerce experiences. Again, you know, like I was sort of talking about with Alexa, Alexa's natural language processing actually draws from what you create on your product detail pages. So, you know, you're sort of programming for Alexa and not even realizing it. Again, all of this sort of builds on itself. You know, and really at the end of the day, and you guys already know this, but companies that aren't set up to compete in the world of digital commerce are going to be at a disadvantage. And really COVID only accelerated this move towards digital commerce. So let's talk about the tools that you need. And again, this gets into a little bit more of the technology. I'm going to keep it pretty high level, but so the first place I'll start is Magento. And Magento is basically Adobe's e-commerce platform. We're an Adobe shop, so you know we use Magento here on a pretty high level. So you know, building your store on Magento gives you a lot of advantages. Basically, how you think about it is it's very customizable. So if you have any sort of uniqueness to how you want to sell or complexity, or you have special dealer pricing, or you know, you just have anything sort of outside of the norm, Magento is a great tool for that because we can create anything on Magento, basically. So you know, it's very customizable, very extendable. And it's supported by Adobe. So, you know, you're going to have a really good company behind your, you know, whatever platform you decide to move forward with. You know, having Adobe behind you is certainly an added value. You know, there are a lot of features, but, you know, corporate account support, friction-free ordering, powerful shopping experiences, multi-channel sales, effortless management, and then again, fully customizable. So let's talk about Shopify. Now, Shopify is a great tool as well, and they have two versions, Shopify and Shopify Plus. So if you are selling in, you know, maybe you have a pretty straightforward catalog, but you're selling in multiple marketplaces, multiple countries, you have, you know, language and, you know, different currencies that you're having to deal with, Shopify can be a great solution for that. And it's also great for, you know, your sort of smaller retail shop on just the straightforward, you know, Shopify program, not Shopify Plus. But again, Shopify Plus is a little more enterprise, and then basic Shopify is great for a smaller catalog or a smaller retail shop. And some of you are already familiar with Shopify. A lot of you probably already use Shopify, but you know, one of the cool things that they do, they make it really easy to sync, you know, your catalog with different systems, different marketplaces, sync it with Amazon, sync it with Walmart, sync it with social media. So all of those sort of connections are already sort of pre-built and make it really easy to syndicate your catalog across different channels. So let's talk about creating a strategy that really is designed to scale and helping you plan your e-commerce growth. So, creating that multi-channel e-commerce strategy is critical. And here's why. I mean, the desire for instant access and fast turnaround, 24/7 is going to be the norm by 2026. Multi-channel shoppers spend 3 times more than single channel shoppers. I think that's really important. Creating that ecosystem that allows your customers to purchase from, how, and where they want is going to be the norm. So having a plan in place to address that, we think is really critical for getting you away from being, Blockbuster Video and more Netflix. You don't need to be all things to all people. Be selective. Evaluate the marketplaces that work best to engage your core audiences. That's all part of what we work through from a discovery standpoint, and really understanding your audience, the trends around your audience, what they're looking for, and addressing those needs. But don't be afraid to get creative with your fulfillment and logistics. Really testing and learning in when it comes to e-commerce, just in general, is always part of the process, and that's critically important because again, you're never set in what you stand up from an e-commerce standpoint is never really set in stone. You can always iterate, you can always reevaluate, and you can always optimize and grow. That's really what it's designed for. So sample stores, things like that, where you just want to test and learn, are also something to consider. One more thing I'll mention about this too, we're seeing it less and less, but last year, one of the other sort of focuses was helping people through curbside delivery, things like that really helped address what we were going through last year. I don't think that that's going to be as in demand as it has been and was last year, but that is something to consider, is having multiple ways to fulfill and deliver your products to your customers is also a component of your overall strategy. So let's talk about the crawl and just getting started. Identifying your audience and their needs, helping align your goals, which will help determine the technology. So what are your goals? Do you want to sell a limited catalog? Do you want to sell wholesale out of the gate? That might help determine what technologies you move forward with. Decide on that launch catalog or your D2C brand. You can say, okay, we love the idea of a D2C brand. We don't know where to start. And we can help you through that. So we can help you, source products. We can help you brand it. We can help you stand up a store. We can help you even get on Amazon. That's all part of, what we can help you do. Make decisions on your technology stack with the help of experts. So the technology stack is beyond just saying, okay, I want to use Shopify or Magento. What are the other third-party tools that we can integrate to help you achieve your goals, whether that's, reviews or, SMS, outreach from your website. How can we do any cross-selling? How can we even do sort of a convergence with another brand, which we're seeing a lot of that activity. So defining your logistics plan. I know, again, I talked about that in the beginning, but that is, something that you need to work through because, e-commerce 101 is have your supply chain intact and ready to go. And that does take some planning. So ensure you have the right team and systems in place to scale, a plan for future phases and features. This is never going to be, you get out there and everything's figured out. There's no easy button for this. So it is very iterative. There's phases associated with it. But having that plan in place can help alleviate any of the friction. So let's talk about the walk. Marketplace expansion. Consider starting with Amazon and growing into other retail channels and niche marketplaces. Consider those social media storefronts. And maybe even talk about integration with core technologies like an ERP system, marketing automation tools, CRM. There's many different tools that you could think about, extending your e-commerce site to. Again, it's going to come back to what makes sense. What are your goals? But that's all a component of sort of that walk phase. Then let's talk about the run. So, continue to expand the catalog and marketplace footprint, add a third-party catalog content syndication tool, go global. We're seeing this a lot with brands in the United States that, really see an opportunity in, Canada, certainly, but then let's talk about Europe. Let's talk about what you can do in, Asia Pacific. There's a lot that, and it's certainly Amazon makes it really easy for you to go global, good or bad, but it's definitely, I think, a huge opportunity that is often not necessarily tapped into. And then, continue to offer new programs like subscribe and save, loyalty programs. And certainly there's a lot of other third-party tools that you can integrate with any of these systems that work together to sort of help you scale. So that's pretty much it. And I'm available to, answer any questions. I know I covered a lot, and I hope you guys got something out of that. But I'm here to answer any questions.
Sorry, trying to jump back in here. Hi, thank you so much for that. That was so in depth.
I apologize. My lawn guy is here, so it was bad timing.
Well, thank you so much for taking us through all that. We do have a few questions that have come in. If you don't mind taking a couple of minutes to answer those. And if anybody has additional ones, please go ahead and use that Q&A tool at the bottom of your screen. So the first question that came in is, what is the best way to get my products on Amazon?
So that's a great question. And to start, you're going to want to have open up a Seller Central account. That's usually the best place to start. Amazon has two ways that they tap into sourcing brands on the marketplace, and that's Vendor Central and Seller Central. So Vendor Central is really you're shipping pallets directly to Amazon, negotiated pricing with Amazon directly. Seller Central is you're selling, directly on the marketplace to other consumers. So that's the place to start. And, one big question we always ask is, do you own your trademark? So do you have a trademark that you can also include in your account sign up? Because that's going to be really important in terms of unlocking additional features and benefits with selling on Amazon. So those are just the two places to start and to think about. But once you unlock your account, and I say it unlocking because nothing with Amazon's straightforward. It is a bit of a back and forth just to get your account open. But once that's done, establishing your catalog, getting your ASINs up and running, getting a review strategy in place, and then starting to, advertise those listings is sort of the workflow that we go through for a new brand on Amazon.
Thank you. Another question is, can I use Amazon's multi-channel fulfillment for my Shopify website?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Amazon is now offering multi-channel fulfillment, which basically means that you can fulfill your products from Amazon warehouses and sell through other channels. So you can sell through your own website and Amazon will fulfill your products for you. So it's a fairly new program that they are offering, but there's a lot of benefit to it. The only challenge with it is if something happens and Amazon is sideways, that's going to impact you. So that's just one sort of thing that I would warn people about when it comes to that program.
All right, we have another Shopify question. Can Shopify accept purchase orders for wholesale orders?
Yeah, you can definitely build a wholesale store on your Shopify. I think that's a huge opportunity for brands that want to do that. You can set up special pricing. You can, basically develop out a whole dealer portal on, Shopify and Magento, either one. But, you can accept purchase orders. You can, accept, multiple ways to do that payment on the wholesale side. So yeah, I think that's, sort of digitizing that. I think it really makes sense.
All right, and I know you talked a little bit about this one, but can you just again go through the difference between Amazon Seller Central and Vendor Central?
Sure. Yeah. So again, Seller Central is you're selling direct as a brand to customers or a retailer on Amazon. So you control your pricing. You sort of control your catalog. Vendor Central, you're selling direct to Amazon. That's an invite only program. So you can't just go sign up to sell on Vendor Central. You have to be invited by Amazon. And usually how you do that is with success on Seller Central.
Okay. Another one is for a North American company of independent sports retail stores, any advice on easing that fulfillment strategy?
Yeah, for sure. So, and I suspect some of that may be down to the SKU level, but you know, you can sort of consider some of your retail stores as dark stores, as Amazon does. So, you know, some of the stores may be set up as both retail and fulfillment on e-commerce. That's a way to do that. We've seen success with that. And yeah, and then drop ship. So if you have sort of some of the core brands that you know are those top sellers, you know, make sure that you have a drop ship strategy in place for those brands, offer them on your retail site. But then, you know, you don't have to worry about fulfilling them out of your retail location per se.
Great. I just want to address one question. Is it possible to get a PDF of this presentation and your contact information?
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing all of that information after the webinar with you all. So there you go. But yes, we'll get a recording out to everybody also, so you can share with your teams. One more question that we have right now, and we'll see if any others come in. Would a Shopify wholesale platform be separate from a B2C account, or can it be all together?
Yeah, it really depends on your account level and the complexity of that catalog. So if you're Shopify Plus, it could live in the same account. And you know, pending on what your sort of goals would be, you know, we could see if there's a possibility of setting it up in a single Shopify instance, not Shopify Plus. But yeah, I mean, I think we would work through some of those questions to help, you know, you understand what your options would be.
All right. Well, thank you again. I think that wraps it up for all the questions today. And again, we will send out Brandy's contact information and a recording of this session to you by hopefully the end of the week. Oh, I have one more question that popped up, so we'll go to that. Just try to get them all since we have you here.
I've seen it all when it comes to e-commerce. Ask me anything.
All right. If we do not have a sales channel in the US, this is a company from Chile, do you recommend us to use Amazon as our first sales channel and coming into the US market?
100%. Yeah, I think so. It's a really easy way for you to get, and we work with a lot of international brands, I will say that want to get involved in the United States. And it's an easy way to test the market. And also, you know, what you'll find is that a lot of other channels sort of rely on that Amazon data to understand sales volume. And so yes, I would say getting up and running on Amazon.com, which is .com is for the United States, is a great way for an international brand to get involved and to start to build a fan base and a story for what is that sort of US customer.
Great. And another one popped up too. So we'll just keep going since we have a little bit more time. Any tips for improving the customer experience to a premium level online?
Yeah, we get that question a lot, and a lot of more premium brands are really hesitant to even get involved in Amazon. And you know, they definitely have a different approach, even with their own e-commerce website. I would say, you know, stay true to your brand And you can extend that experience to Amazon and to your website. So you're not having to back into these channels and sort of devalue your brand or bastardize your brand in any way if you do it right. And it takes some planning, but I do see that more luxury brands are getting involved in some of these other e-commerce channels, and they've historically sort of stayed away from that. But I mean, it really is, it's an evolution. And do you have an opportunity on e-commerce? 100%. Do you have an opportunity on Amazon? Absolutely. People are probably already selling your brand on Amazon. Getting control of your brand on Amazon, regardless if you're selling, probably should be, something that's its own initiative. Again, claiming the brand, setting up your own, Amazon storefront, microsite is all part of what you can be doing, regardless if you're actually selling and fulfilling the product. So yeah, I would say that there's an opportunity for sure. And again, testing and learning. So what do your customers want? If they're sophisticated and it's a higher end brand, chances are they're already shopping online on a pretty high level.
Great. And one more quick question from our friend in Chile. And they were wondering about the shipping, because shipping would be expensive if it's shipping from there. So I don't know if that's something you want to answer here or follow up with him directly about. Totally your call.
It's a great question. And regardless if you're shipping products into the United States from Chile or, from Chicago, having that centralized warehouse to store your products is definitely something that can easily be set up. What you can do from an international standpoint, you can ship into one warehouse that exclusively handles FBA prep and then get it into FBA. From there, Amazon distributes it. And again, you can do that multi-channel fulfillment. So what you can do is ship your products into a centralized fulfillment center, get it into Amazon, and then if you have retailers that want to resell your product, they can drop ship your product and do that multi-channel fulfillment right from Amazon, making it very cost effective. So, I know that's sort of a lot, but that's how you would do that to make it, worth your time.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here then. And I do encourage anybody else that has further questions to reach out to Brandy directly or any of us at SIA, and we'll be happy to help you out. And thank you so much for your time, Brandy, and to all of our attendees for taking time out of their day to spend with us. And we look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, everyone. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.